I went from first grade through 12th grade and learned practically nothing about Black history. I mean, nothing. I always liked history. And so I knew that March on Washington was going to be a historical event, so I went.
It's all been a progression. A movement that just keeps going.
We are requesting all citizens to move into Washington, to go by plane, bus, any way that you can get there. We are pushing for jobs, housing, desegregated schools.
Bayard Rustin and I got up early in the morning and we went out to the mall. There was not a soul on the mall, no one. And Bayard turns to me and said, "Cortland, do you think anyone is coming to this march?" And soon as he said that, I mean, people were just pouring out of bus stations, of train stations.
Into the area that I was assigned to came Malcolm X. I'll never forget what he said, because he was not supposed to be there. What he said was, I could not come. That this was a historic occasion. There was something about that moment when he was talking about why he was there that made the march even more significant.
I knew by name almost all the people who were speaking. One was Martin Luther King. And then I do remember John Lewis. He is 2 years older than me. I was 21, he was 23. And I said, he is up there as the leader of SNCC. And what have I done?
People need to understand the big issue that Black people had to face at that point is, what do you Negroes want? Martin King in his speech said, what people want here is the full participation in the American dream. All the things that you hold sacred, we hold sacred.
That was a powerful speech. It's almost criminal the way they have reduced that man to I have a dream. Where he talks about our forefathers, the founding fathers of this country gave our ancestors a promissory note. And we've come here today to cash that check. Now, to me, that should be the quote, that is memorized from that speech. You don't hardly hear nothing, any programs and events around the day of Dr. King's assassination. All you hear is, I have a dream. I have a dream. And I think that is almost criminal, because that man was way more than that.
The image that we have today of the March on Washington is that the movement peaked and succeeded with the March on Washington. That was definitely not the case, especially the succeeded part. I frankly think it's an ideological effort to convince people that this is over. It's finished. And that's the myth that Black Lives Matter exploded.
Breadth and depth of that movement worldwide is astounding. And I'm certainly hoping that something comes out of that. But the one thing that has come out of that was the recognition by the wider community that there is something wrong.
For my generation, the thing that got most of us alert and aware and made us begin to really understand what we were dealing with in this country was the lynching of Emmett Till. Well, I think George Floyd's lynching, hopefully, will do the same thing for the current generation.
I don't know. I cried for a couple of days just seeing that. As a black woman, as a black person, that's not new to me. The deaths aren't new to me.
You think you're gonna do something today and see the results next week or next month. You gotta understand that this is you're in a long range thing, and with your job, look upon it as like a big chain, and every generation must do a share to weaken the links in that chain, because the chain is definitely going to break. But it may not. It may be your great-grandchildren who see it break.
I'd love to also talk a little bit about your personal or working relationship with John Lewis, how his life and his passing have affected you.
It was an act of bravery, knowing that you're dying. And he felt the need to go to the place on 16th Street, Black Lives Matter, to energize himself, but to also make a statement to these young people. He didn't talk about being a member of Congress. He didn't talk about the Edmund Pettus Bridge. He talked about the importance of being engaged in struggle in a nonviolent way.
All of the positive changes that have come from people who believed it, kept doing it, kept doing it, kept doing it until there was change. Do not get discouraged. Believe that you have the power to change things.